If you know the folks, the chief of police and mayor down in Helena, West Helena, tell them to get ready. Because if that officer ain't fired, we're coming. And of course, a shout out to my good friend, Mayor Frank Scott, let you know that I'm back in town, let you and Keith Humphrey know that we're back in town and we're getting ready to get back to work. And so hopefully we won't have another wrongful arrest like we did the other week. Hopefully none of us will be killed in civil acts of peaceful disobedience. To my media mentor, Big Dave Coleman, always in the radio studio, keeping me on track. My media mentor, I love him to death. Dynamic Dave, I buy it. We use it at our house, Dynamic Dave's products. So as always, when I get ready to leave the show, I know my grandbabies, at least one of them is at home watching now with his mama Angel. As always, when I get ready to leave the grandbabies, we say we love each other, we say bye-bye, and then we say deuces. So from us to all of you out there enjoying that radio land, deuces.
So what?
No, talk to my dog.
Hey friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, Dust, Juice, Nuts, Batter, and you name it, all for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, what's happening? Welcome to the show, Black Focus Radio. I guess you could say the Tuesday edition, the day after the official start of summer, Memorial Day. I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day, the first summer holiday. Of course, I'll tell you a little bit about my weekend. It was fantastic. I hope yours was as well. 855-525-5683 is the number. We like to say around here, our issues, our solutions, our voices. That's how you get in touch with us. You want to call us up. You can also send me an email at blackfocusradio@gmail.com. So there are a number of ways you can get in touch with me. There are just so many things to talk about. I'll tell you what, I was totally unplugged over the weekend. I'll tell you why here in just a moment. For whatever reasons, the Facebook feed is buffering. So I just posted the feed to YouTube. You can click on that and still catch the show. And if you are out there, please, by all means, make sure you subscribe to the show as well. We are trying to get up more subscribers on YouTube. So I have to get up to 1,000 subscribers to be an official, in other words, so I can start getting paid. Let's be real about that, okay? So help a brother out, all right? So go out and check that out. I think you'll enjoy it in the meantime. Not sure what's going on with the Facebook feed. We'll try to fix that in the break. So we'll get to all of that here in just a moment. Don't know where to start. I tell you what, I will start. Let me just tell you about my weekend. And one of the things I said in the tease is you probably would do yourself a favor if, in fact, you took some time off for yourself. And I know that's hard for a lot of people. I don't begrudge you grinding. But at some point it becomes counterproductive, okay? It's kind of like the hamster on the wheel effect. Yeah, that's amazing. We'll get into that here in just a moment. It's kind of like that with hamster on the wheel effect as well. So this weekend, and of course, you know, I'll take time off in a minute. I'm 58 years old, proud to be here. I've got more life behind me than I do ahead of me. So I think it's important for me to every now and then stop and smell the roses. And every chance I get, I'm going to stop and smell the roses. So this past weekend, every year about this time, myself and my brothers, we go on a camping trip. And we did it this weekend as well. Well, it was just two couples this time. Because the other people didn't want to go because the cabin didn't have a kitchen, so I don't want to go. Poor things. Well, we went, had a fantastic time. We went to Pettigene Mountain. I had been there as a Boy Scout and as a kid on a picnic. It was beautiful. It wasn't where we went to the mall. We didn't go and hang out at the movies. You know, I always love people who go to another city. They go visit another city and they go to the movies. Well, hell, you can do that at home. We actually went hiking in the mountains. And I'm going to be posting some of those pictures later on. But we went hiking in the mountains. Okay? We went to see Cedar Falls, which was beautiful. It's nothing like nature. It's nothing like being that close to nature. Okay? And it was fantastic. I had a great time. So we went to Cedar Falls, went to see this big rock cave, and I know that may not sound exciting to you, but the fact, went fishing, beautiful Lake Bailey. I know that may not sound exciting to some of you, but do yourself a favor. Go out and check it out. It was fantastic. We had a great time, okay? And to be able to get back and get away from everybody. And, you know, it was a lot of people there. Don't get me wrong. It was a whole lot of people there. So, but we had a cabin. So, and, you know, tourists would come in during the day and then it would kind of feather out at night. But we were there for 3 nights. Relatively inexpensive, but I'm gonna tell you, it is a great place to take some friends. It really is. It was a fantastic place to take some friends. So I'm refreshed. Summer is here, ready to go. It was hot, but thank goodness we had a canopy. And what I mean by a canopy, that was the overgrowth of trees that was throughout the trails, at least most of the trails. Although it was hot and humid, it wasn't as hot as it could have been, considering. The other thing we need to be concerned about is here in Little Rock, there's going to be a lot of floods. Be aware of that. The levees may not hold. We understand that these floods may be the worst they've seen since 1990. Now, I wasn't here at that time, So I can't vouch for how bad they were. But I was in Nashville in 2011, and there are videos of that disaster, no pun intended. And just be aware. Keep your eyes on the news. Pay attention. Understand that water is one thing you can't solve. Okay? When they tell you to get out, that means get out. Okay? Just so you'll know. All right. This is going to get serious. In fact, we thought maybe because we were going to have to go across the Arkansas River to get to Pettigene, we thought maybe that we were going to have to end up leaving a day early, but fortunately we didn't. So just be aware, it's going to be dangerous. It really is. 5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with us. If you want to call the show. I'm not sure what's going on with the Facebook feed. We are going to do a black fact, so hang on just a moment. We'll get that up here, and of course we'll jump into some of the news that is going on around the country, and of course around Little Rock. There was an interesting video that made national news as it relates to West Helena, West Helena. We'll get into that. I'm also going to talk about another story, and although I didn't post this on the feed, I'm going to talk about a story about a young 18-year-old guy who had a pretty lengthy sentence for sharing a sex tape. And I'm going to take the opposite of what most people have said. And I looked at some of the comments on that feed. So I'm going to take the opposite of that. And we've got a lot of other stuff. I'm also going to talk a little bit today of how do you, I'll talk a little bit about personal development. In fact, this whole show is about personal development. Black knowledge, understanding who you are, how to be successful. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We'll also talk about how much money is your president actually spending of taxpayers' dollars to go golfing. You'd be shocked. So we're going to get into all of that here in just a moment. But right now, I want to jump into some black facts. And thank you, Miss Jenny. Oh, we got some Tom Cotton information for you today, folks. We got a lot of good stuff for you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We're going to talk a little bit about Ethiopia and why they're taking their land back. Always remember, we can agree and still love each other unless your disagreement is rooted in my oppression and the denial of my humanity and right to exist. And that's really what this show is based on. That's by the late, great James Baldwin. That's what this show is based on, because if you deny my humanity and my right to exist, then yeah, we do have a serious problem. And that's where all of this falls down to, and that's why we do this show. Okay? So, let's see, what black fact do I want to do? Oh, let's do this one. Why not? Of course, there are plenty others. In fact, we're going to do two. I've done both of these black facts before, but I think it's important for us to do it again. So the first one, let's do the one about Memorial Day. Okay? Because some of you all don't know how Memorial Day came into being. All right? Now, there are very few holidays I celebrate, especially patriotic holidays. But I can certainly celebrate Memorial Day, and here's why. Memorial Day. Most people think barbecues, lemonade, a precious 3-day weekend full of sun, sales, and slacking off. But, and by the way, this is from The Root. This is The Root, and you know there's another part to the story. Little known fact, African Americans created Memorial Day. Most Americans know that Memorial Day is about honoring our nation's dead. It is also a holiday devoted to department store sales, half marathons, picnics, baseball, and auto racing. But where did it begin, and who created it, and why? At the end of the Civil War, Americans faced a formidable challenge: how to memorialize 625,000 dead soldiers, Northern and Southern. As Walt Whitman mused, it was the dead, the dead, the dead, our South, our North, ours all, that preoccupied the country. After all, if the same number of Americans per capita had died in Vietnam as died in the Civil War, 4 million names would be on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial instead of 58,000. Officially, in the North, Memorial Day emerged in 1968 when the Grand Army of the Republic, the Union Veterans Organization, called on communities to conduct grave decorating ceremonies. On May 30th, funeral events attracted thousands of people at hundreds of cemeteries in countless towns, cities, and mere crossroads. By the 1870s, one could not live in an American town, north or south, and be unaware of the spring ritual. But the practice of decorating graves, which gave rise to an alternative name, Decoration Day, didn't start with the 1968 events, nor was it an exclusive Northern practice. In 1866, the Ladies Memorial Association of Georgia chose April 26, the anniversary of General Joseph Johnston's final surrender to William T. Sherman, to commemorate fallen Confederate soldiers. Later, both May 10th and anniversary of General Stonewall Jackson's death and June 3rd, the birthday of Jefferson Davis, were designated as the Confederate Memorial Day in different states. Memorial Days were initially occasions for sacred bereavement, okay? But the ritual quickly became a tool of partisan memory as well. The Lost Cause tradition thrived in Confederate Memorial Day rhetoric. Yankee Memorial Day orations often righteously claim the high ground of blood sacrifice to save the Union and destroy slavery. Some events even stress the Union died as a source of a new egalitarian America. Rewind to the Civil War of 1865, Charlotte, South Carolina was in the ruins, and many Union soldiers were being held prisoner in a converted race course. At least 257 of the captives died because of horrific conditions, and their bodies were discarded in a mass grave. Later, a group of black workmen dug up the bodies and reburied them and properly honored the fallen soldiers. On May 1st, 1965, over 10,000 people, recently freed slaves, black school children, colored soldiers, and their allies, held what was called the first Memorial Day Parade. They paraded around the racetrack, and then they gathered as many as they could fit into the cemetery compound. About 3 or 4 black preachers read from the scripture, said David Blight, a professor of history at Yale and director of the Gilder Lehrman Center for Study of Slavery. His research is responsible for bringing the little-known fact of history to light. The historian says that the white South controlled much of the nation's narrative, which explains why this heroic story was practically erased. And that's how Memorial Day came into effect. Now, there's another black fact I want to talk about. And this deals with reparations. As you all know, I talk about reparations all the time. I talk about how important it is to get reparations. And right now, people don't believe that. So in Mississippi, white men kill black minister and steal over 270 acres of land. During the 1940s, it was rare for a black person to have control over an enormous amount of land. However, Reverend Isaac Simmons of Amity County, Mississippi, owned more than 270 acres of debt-free land. His family is said to have owned the land since 1887 and worked the land producing crops and selling the wood. It was not long before rumors began to spread that there was oil in southwest Mississippi. A group of 6 white men decided to show up on Simmons' land and warn him to stop cutting lumber. Simmons consulted with a lawyer to work out the dispute and ensure that the property would belong to his children in the event of his death. Later, the men showed up at the house of Simmons' eldest son, Eldridge. They ordered him to show them the property line. When Eldridge and the men were riding out to the property line, the men began to beat Eldridge and shouted that the Simmons family thought they were smart niggers for consulting a lawyer. The men then went to Reverend Simmons' home, dragged him out of his home, and drove him off to the property line with him in the car. The men shot Simmons 3 times, cut his tongue out, and told his son that the family had 10 days to get off the land. 3 days later, Reverend Simmons was buried and his family fled the area. So the killers took possession of the land. Later, an all-white jury acquitted the one of only 6 men to face murder. So I wonder whatever happens to the Eldridge Simmons family. That would be something that, I'm curious. I wonder whatever happened to them. Because remember that was 1940. Remember when we interviewed John Carter's family? I think it was a nephew and a niece. And they fled Arkansas and they never returned. And I don't think any of that part of the Carter family has ever, I think that, in fact, I remember him saying that was the first time they had ever been back to Little Rock. So I wonder now if the Simmons families are pursuing that land. Because certainly it can be traced back. And the argument can't say, well, they abandoned the land. They abandoned it under duress. So that land is theirs. That would be something interesting to find out. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's our Black Fact for today.
To Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people on JoyNetRadio.com.
All right, we're going to go out and take a quick break. Hope everybody's having a great day. I had a great Memorial Day. We've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. When I get back, I'm going to try to do a little quick research in the break. But when I get back, I want to talk about this teen who was not slapped on the wrist, but really punched in the nose for violating the law. And I certainly understand everybody's concern, but this is a reason why we ought to know the law, and we ought to be teaching our children the law. Otherwise, things like this will happen. 855-525-5683 is the number. You're listening to Black Focus Radio on JoyNetRadio.com.
Friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, Dust, Juice, Nuts, Batter, you name it, all for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm. Are you drowning in debt? Is your debt becoming unmanageable? Are you struggling to make ends meet? It might be time to consider bankruptcy options. Call me at 501-374-1448 and let me provide you with the professional legal guidance and help protect you from foreclosure, harassing bill collectors, repossession, wage garnishments, and more. I have a proven record of serving clients just like you for over 20 years. I'm conveniently located downtown Little Rock at 323 Center Street, Suite 1020. Call today for a free, no obligation consultation at 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448, 501-374-1448. This is attorney Danielle Walker from the Walker Law Firm, and let me help you.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for every room in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $598. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law Firm, and I want to help with your legal matters. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501-503-5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
All right, welcome back to Black Focus Radio. David Coleman in the house. They call me Dynamic Dave. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you want to join in, if you want to call the show. I apologize. I don't know what's going on with the Facebook feed. It may be my device. I might need to clean it up a little bit. Because I took a lot of pictures over the weekend. So that may be the problem. But right now I don't have time to troubleshoot it. But you can check out the YouTube feed as well as, well, that's the only feed that's up right now, I should say. So go check that out. Let me make sure I'll repost it so you can see it. But it is up and running. And as I told you before, the YouTube feed is always better than the Facebook feed. It just is. Just being real with you. Okay? So I'll post that again so you all can share it and check it out. Okay? I want to thank everybody for joining me today. And we'll keep trying to get the YouTube feed up here. In just a moment. But this segment, I want to talk a little bit about a story, and I'll admit that I pulled this story off of someone else's wall because I found it interesting that a lot of people were commenting on it. And so let's see here. So it kind of goes like this. A judge in Ohio has ordered a teen who admitted to secretly filming himself having sex with a 14-year-old girl and sharing the footage with classmates to register as a sex offender for 25 years. Jeremiah Horton, 18, was indicted by a grand jury in December after the girl's mother went to police with the video. Police said the senior football player sent it to fellow students at North College Hill High School in Cincinnati, from which he was later expelled. In addition to registering as a Tier 2 sex offender, Horton was sentenced by the judge to spend 6 months at a River City Correctional Center, a rehab facility for nonviolent felony offenders. Horton had faced up to 3 years in prison. I don't think that's appropriate, but you did something you shouldn't have done, obviously. Hamilton County Common Pleas Court Judge Patrick Dinkel-Lacker said to the teen, and there's a price to pay. The judge also warned Horton not to violate his parole upon release from custody, saying he would certainly spend significant time behind bars if this occurred. We're not playing anymore, he told the teen. Horton, who was one of 4 teens prosecuted in connection with the video, pleaded guilty in April to felony child pornography charges as part of the sex offender designation. Horton will be required to register his address with authorities every 6 months for the next 25 years. Prosecutors said Horton shared the video with classmates in September. 3 students then shared the explicit video, including one 14-year-old boy who sent it to a group text message to 8 other people, according to the court document obtained by the newspaper. Those 3 teens who were prosecuted in juvenile court have since been placed on probation. Horton, for his part, apologized to the victim and her family in court on Thursday. I'm not proud of what I did, Horton said, adding that he was also sorry for the humiliation he caused his father, who has raised him alone as a single parent. Horton's attorney, meanwhile, said the client's actions were a youthful indiscretion gone awry. I doubt very seriously you'll ever see this young man in the criminal justice system, said Carl Lewis. Attorney Carl Lewis told Dinkel-Lacker. Okay. So there's a lot to unpack here, and a lot of people are not going to care what I say, and they're not going to like what I say. Okay? Let me start off by simply asking a simple question. How would you feel if this was your daughter? I need you to be honest with me, okay? If this young lady who was 14 years old, who had sex with an 18-year-old considered to be young adult, right off the bat, with all the other stuff aside, you as a parent should be upset. Now, I know that there are parents who are okay with their children dating older people. I know that for a fact, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, an 18-year-old boy, now, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if they were dating or not, but they had to be having some type of interaction because the girl didn't claim she was raped. So odds are they were dating. And then, let's be realistic, she could have been keeping it from her parents. Okay? We know today these young girls are fast. Let's be realistic. These young girls are tough on boys and the boys want girls. I'm being real with you. And I think most adults will tell you that. So let's presuppose that they were dating. Number one, if the parents knew that this boy was 18 and the girl was 14 and you were allowing them to date, then that's on you, Mom. And that's also on Dad, because the story says that the dad was a single parent. Well, you should have been warning him, hey man, you don't need to be messing around with them little young girls. She's underage, you're going to spend a lot of time in jail. There was a saying that we used. There were 2 words that we called it: jail bait. Let me say that again. Jail bait. There's a reason why jail is the active adjective in that phrase. Because we knew growing up that if you messed around with a young girl, you were probably going to go to jail if it was found out. So if she was underage, then you didn't touch her. That was the rule. Now, somewhere along the way, that rule got bent out of shape, and guys and girls, older girls, have decided just about everything is fair game. But the law doesn't agree with that. First and foremost, the girl was 14. You were 18. You were contributing to the delinquency of a minor. You were participating in sex with a minor. All of that in some form or another was going to be a violation of the law. Okay? And you probably could have been okay if you would not have. See, you did it as a means to manipulate this girl. Okay? So, let me just put on my imagination hat for a moment here. Okay? Let me just put this on. Okay. Let me just imagine it. Think about it from this perspective. What if he said, because he was a football player, what if he was trying to use that video to manipulate this girl to have sex with some of his friends? Does it make it all right with you, for you all arguing with this guy now? For this guy now? I know he's a black male, and I know the criminal justice system threw the book at a black male. But in this particular case, we know he committed this crime. Okay? We know he committed this crime. He had sex, an 18-year-old young man, a young adult, had sex with a 14-year-old girl. Okay? And he then took the video, I'm sure, unbeknownst to her, recorded a video, and then sent it to his friends. Now the question didn't come up, why did he record the video? Was he doing it for fun? Or was he doing it as a means to manipulate and blackmail her for future sex with him, and maybe some friends? I don't know. But you see how dangerous this is when you begin to extrapolate out all the possibilities? But the fact that he only sent it to some friends, now maybe if he just sent it to 5 people, I would argue that at least 5,000 people saw that video. Think about that. What if all 5 of those friends shared that video? And they did. We know they did. One guy put it in a group text. So when you share something in a group text, that could go on and on and on. So who gave him the right to do that to that young girl? She will never live it down. Who gave that young man the right to violate, even if she agreed to have sex with him, who gave him the right to violate her sanctity of trust by videotaping her, unbeknownst to her, and then sharing it with her friends? Who gave him the right? No one. She didn't. He had no right to do it. And any consequences that he has gotten, unfortunately, based on the law, he deserves it. Are you not paying attention to what's going on in America today? The number one crime that people are talking about more than anything else is sex with children. You better be on your damn P's and Q's, and you parents better be talking to your children, your young adults. You better know what the age of consent is in your state. We know these kids are having sex. Now, when I first saw this, when I first began to look at this article, I first thought it was going to be that article where it was a 14-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl. And they sentence the boy, but they do nothing for the girl. I was going to say, whoa, that's not fair. These kids are both teenagers. But when I saw that one was an 18-year-old young man, I don't care if he was a senior in high school, and a 14-year-old girl, I had a serious problem with that. Yeah, I'm a father of a daughter. What if it was your daughter? The mother had every right. She had every right to go to the police. Now, I know a lot of people are probably upset with this woman. See, it's your fault. You shouldn't have went to the police. I say that's a bunch of malarkey. I said that mother had every right to go to the police because, number one, you have violated this young lady's trust. And then you sent it on a video. Well, you know there are laws against that, right? Oh, you didn't? Well, there's one thing that I've always heard, that ignorance of the law is no excuse. And therein again, where we ought to be talking to our children about the law, because you ought to know about what's going on with child pornography. You ought to know, look, pornography is big business in this country. Don't have no problem with you watching it. You can do what you want to do with it. But when it comes to children and pornography, that's where you ought to draw the line. That's where we all ought to draw the line. There should always be a line in things that we kind of straddle. And this young man had no right to share that video. So when you shared it, based on the law, you became a felon. Don't get mad at the judge. Don't get mad at the woman. The judge said, hey, this is based on the law. Your state representatives have put these laws in place to keep people from manipulating children. And look, I have no problem with that whatsoever. I really don't. Sexual abuse of our children has, you know what? I don't think it has gotten worse. I just think more and more people are exposing it. More and more of us are exposing it. So, hey, you better know the law. And people say, well, this is excessive. No, it isn't. These are mandatory sentencing. He could have sent him to jail for 3 years. He didn't. 6 months in a correctional facility for nonviolent offenders. Yeah, that's tough on an 18-year-old. Registered as a sex offender for 25 years. Yeah, that's tough. But leave these young girls and these young boys alone. Dude, if you're 18 years old, you're a football star, and you can't get an 18-year-old girl, someone your age, you got a problem. If you're 21 years old and you're going back and having sex with young girls 14 and 15 years old, you got a problem. R. Kelly. Some of you all same people that are trying to defend this team are the same people that were defending R. Kelly. Yeah, you can get mad all you want. What if it would have been your daughter? What if now this girl has to live for the rest of her life? Because here's the one thing about the internet. This is what I told my children. It doesn't go away. Once you hit send, once you hit enter, once you hit that key, it doesn't go away. Once it's on the internet, you know what happens? Let me just give you some basic computer knowledge, okay? I'm not going to get real in the weeds with you, but let me just explain to you, okay? That video or photo is duplicated, okay? It is first sent to a server somewhere, who knows, in America. And it sits on that server. And the more people click on that particular video, the server then duplicates it. Because it duplicates it so you can recall it. And what I mean by recall it, that means you can get it immediately. So duplicates of that video are out there on somebody's server. Somebody that may not have shared it, they downloaded it. So even though it didn't get shared, it probably got downloaded. So this video will never go away. This young lady could possibly live it down through her teens, become a very successful professional. 25 years from now, up pops this video. You understand what I'm saying? This is how serious this is. He had no right to share that video. Now, we don't know why he shared the video, but he did share it. And he shared it with his friends. So it's clear that he didn't respect her. It's clear that he probably, well, he had to plan it all along because he videotaped it. And y'all are defending this guy? Really? I'm going to say this as I started this monologue and end with it. What if it would have been your daughter? What if it would have been your daughter? Here's a side note to that. What if it would have been a son with an older girl? What if the girl would have been 18 and the boy would have been 14? Would you all be as upset? Would in fact that woman got in the same sentence as the boy? That's what you should be concerned about. You equal righters, you Me Too'ers. If this video would have been a 14-year-old boy having sex with a 18-year-old girl, now had the same circumstances applied, had the girl then shared the video, yeah, she would have went to jail too. Maybe. She certainly would have fallen under the same laws that this young man had fallen under. Now, whether or not the sentence would have been the same, there's no way to know. But she still would have fallen under the same laws. Something to think about. But I say all that to say this, is what we ought to be doing is teaching our children about the law. When you have that condom talk with your son, you ought to be telling him what type of women he ought to be dating. And you ought to be giving him age ranges. Okay? If you're 14 and you're horny, okay, I don't want you having sex, but here are the ones that's going to be accepted in this house. Oh, by the way, don't mess around and videotape nothing. Because you ought to be having the conversation about the internet as well. This is why so many of our children are being kidnapped, because our parents are not talking to them about the computer. And sadly enough, most parents don't even know about the computers. Don't get mad at the law. Get mad at your ignorance of the law. And you shouldn't be ignorant about this. 18, 14. That ain't gonna jive. I think in most states, the age of consent, I want to say is 17. There may be one or two that are 16. Because I remember when I was in New Orleans, those women down there, they can start stripping at 16 unless they've changed the law. Last time I was in New Orleans was about 4 or 5 years ago. I hadn't been in a minute. So I know at age 16 in parts of in California, young girls can be emancipated for various circumstances. And that might be the case in many other states. But at 14 is not an age of consent. I'm just curious. You know, that's what makes, see, I just told you, Ohio age of, let's just find out. The age of a consent in Ohio is 16 years old, okay? And that's in many states, okay? Let me just read the law to you. In Ohio, the age of consent for sex is 16 years old. This means that generally speaking, someone who is 16 can consent to sex with an older person, no matter what the age difference is between them. Sex with someone under the age of 16 in Ohio is presumptively statutory rape. I rest my case. So, whomever the parents were of these young people, whomever they were, they should have been advising, particularly the young man. Are you sitting down and having that talk with your look? Even today, my son's 26 years old. We have hard talks about relationships. Early on, when he became a young man, started to become a young man, started becoming interested in girls, first thing I told him, no matter how good she looks, no how good she tastes, whenever she says no, it don't matter where you are in the moment. No means no always, because men are not going to get the benefit of the doubt. Don't say it's fair, because we know the law isn't fair, and we certainly know the law is not fair for black people. So why aren't you teaching your black males about the age of consent when it comes to dating? Because I'm going to tell you, folks, are you going after these young girls because they're easy? You don't have a game? Your rap game is tied? Is that what it is? Because if that's what the case is, then you deserve to go to jail. Because if you can't date a young girl your age or older, and there are so many of them out here, and I hate to say it, there are so many of them out here that are thirsty. The script has been flipped. These young girls are so tough on these young brothers. These young brothers be running from them. I know, my son, it was crazy. I could tell you stories. Huh? I could tell you stories where I've been at stores and they've approached me. And many other men will tell you that too. So if you are of age and you don't know how to get a woman of age, then maybe you need to go ask someone. But you should not be pursuing someone that's 14 years old and you're 18. Man, look, you could have got a 16-year-old. Not them saying that was right, because then you turn around and you shared the video via the internet. God knows how many people saw that. You made that young girl, after you apparently manipulate her, you made her an object of derision by sharing that video. And her parents did the right thing by prosecuting you and sending your butt to jail. How dare you? This is the R. Kelly mess all over again. Are y'all crazy? How dare you? I'm going to say it again. You better be glad it wasn't my daughter, because I'd be wanting a piece of your butt. But oh yeah, somebody's going to get some of that now. Yeah, I'm being hard because, see, here's the thing. I've told y'all over and over again that if you don't understand the laws by which you are governed, then you're going to be a fool to those laws. How do you live in a country that you don't understand the laws by which you're governed? Every July 1st, your city, I guarantee you, publishes the new laws that are going into effect. And you gotta know, when it comes to something like sex, you gotta know, look, this dude 18 years old, man. I know someone told him about jailbait. Sorry. I can't feel sorry for you. If it was my daughter, yeah, you ought to be in jail. I ain't feeling sorry for you, and I'm not feeling upset. Look, I'm going to be upset with my daughter for out there having sex at 14. That's a different story. And then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sit down with my daughter and explain to her some facts about life and sex, if I haven't already had that conversation. Because a 14-year-old girl is easily manipulated by an 18-year-old man. A 18-year-old woman can easily manipulate a 14-year-old boy with sex. That's why they have those laws. And if you all are mad at Ohio, if y'all are saying this is wrong, I'm sorry, I have to disagree. I have to totally disagree with you. The laws are there for a reason. Okay? The laws are there for a reason. And what little protection that our children have, we expect the law to do its job. And in this case, it did. Now, I know what people want to say. I already know what you want to say. Well, if it would have been a white boy, it would have been different. You're exactly right. I totally agree with you. That's all the more reason why we ought to be teaching our children about the law so that we can stay out of the criminal justice system. Yeah, some of us are going to get in it by default. Some of us are going to get in it because of racism. I have no doubt about that. We know that. So what we ought to be doing, every one of our children ought to be Black history professionals and law professionals. Now, I'm being facetious, but what I mean is that they have, number one, here's what will get your butt in trouble. Okay? We ought to be having those classes. We ought to be talking about that in our churches, but we're not. Here's what happens when you get stopped by the police. Did you see the video of the blood brother in West Helena? Even though that police officer told him to turn off his car, he refused to move. He did exactly what he should have done. Now, if the cop was up to shooting him, well, there was nothing you could have done about that. But he didn't move, even though the cop was telling him to move. I don't know if he figured that out on his own or someone else taught him that. But those are, look, you can't tell me that we ought to be conforming or doing everything cops say. You can't tell me that, because we've seen too many instances where people are doing exactly what the cops are saying and they're getting shot down like dogs. So you don't move. I don't care what he says. Don't move. And what you ought to be doing then is at this point asking for an attorney, not answering any questions. That's what you ought to be doing. 855-525-5683 is the number. I know this take is not going to be popular. I know some of y'all are already probably calling me a sellout. But what we need to be doing is teaching our children survival techniques. And when you violate the white man's law, he's going to throw the book at you because you're black. You know that. So why aren't you preparing your children? Why aren't you teaching your children about, hey, when you find out that your child is is trying to date a little 14-year-old girl and he's 18, you ought to be in his stuff. Boy, what's your problem? You're going to end up in jail. That's jail bait. So where was his parents? Where was his parent? Don't get mad at me because I'm speaking fact here. Because had it been my daughter and you had sex with her and she was 14 and you were 18, and then you shared that video with your school, your entire school, hell no. Your little ass need to be in jail. Sorry, I ain't feeling sorry for you. 855-525-5683 is the number. It's Black Focus Radio. I'm Dynamic Dave. Fresh off of my sabbatical in the woods. You know, it's funny. All in the woods, I didn't get bit by one bug, one mosquito. And I come back to Little Rock. And last night, sleeping in my own bed, I get bit twice by a mosquito. Hell. We'll be back in a moment. We're taking the top of the hour break. Black Focus Radio on JoyNetRadio.com.
Friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for dad. Pick 6 for dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, dust, juice, nuts, batter, you name it. All for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. The law offices of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
The views and opinions expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready to focus on our issues, our solutions, using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the second hour of the show. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. If you want to join the show, if you have some comments about what we discussed last hour, 18 having sex with a 14-year-old, and then sharing and videotaping the child, and then sharing the video, and then people upset because he got slapped. Well, okay. Keep that up. Keep that up. Okay. I'm just saying. Don't know what to think about some of these folks. I just don't. All right, so we're going to cover a couple other things that I want to talk about today. I've got tons of stuff on my wall that I posted, so I want to make sure I cover as much as I can. We'll cover the Shaun King article in a moment. I want to talk a little bit about a video that was taking place in Kenya. And apparently the Chinese have invaded Africa much like the Europeans did decades ago. And there's been all kinds of bigotry and racism that has been going on. With that being said, I've talked a lot about why I try not to support Chinese businessmen or Arab businessmen or Latino businessmen, and I try to do everything I can not to support white business people until they support me. I'm just being real with you, okay? Because I refuse to carry water for anyone else, any other ethnic community who refuses to help me carry my water. I'm not doing that anymore. And that's part of the problem with black people. We want to save everybody else. We want to save every other ethnic group, every other creation of an ethnic group, but ourselves. And we still end up being at the bottom of the totem pole. And it's time out for that. So this particular video, apparently this Asian guy in his store that he had created in Kenya called this black man a monkey, and this black Kenyan beat the hell out of him, and rightfully so. How dare you come to Africa and then you call me out of my name? He got a beating that he needed, and I hope, and let that be a lesson to you. Let that be a lesson to you, because this is out of hand. Now we're gonna either live together as brothers or we're gonna perish as fools. And that's the bottom line on that. And apparently one side has decided that we're gonna perish as fools. Well, you know, it's funny. We've all had kids, right? How many times did your kid fall out on you in a grocery store because they wanted something and you refused to give it to them? Do you know how many times did your kids actually just, you know how they used to do is fall out on the floor? My children had one time to do that to me. Okay? That doesn't mean that they had an extra time. They had one time. The time that they did it was that time. And if they fell out on me, I was going to act a damn fool on them. And that's what we need to start doing with them, is letting them know that we're going to act a fool on you. Hats off to Ethiopia, who has revoked a total of 412 hectare-acres of land held by investors, including Ethiopian-born Saudi billionaire Mohammed Hassan al-Munadi, for failure to create jobs and develop the city as promised. Hello? When the lands were awarded to them, head of Addis Ababa Land Bank told the Voice of America. The investors had promised to create jobs for the youth and develop Addis Ababa by building industries, hotels, a media center, and other complexes in the busy city with over 4 million residents. All they did was make a fence around thousands square foot of land and left it for years. That is all they did. Instead of building the city, they gave the city a bad image, making it a place of waste collections. Of the 412 hectare acres of land, 55 were associated with Muhammad International Development Research and Organizations companies, a private company that belongs to Ethiopian-born Saudi billionaire. In 2005, Midrock leased about 33,000 square acres of land in the heart of the capital city, agreeing to build a city center where thereby only evicting locals, and built a huge fence around the land. Prior to the lease of revocations, Midrock has had a close relationship with Addis Ababa residents who have accused the company of polluting the environment, refusing job opportunities to locals, leading to a protest in Oromia, a region of the capital, because of the fear of losing their farmlands to Midrock. This week alone, 19 Ethiopian government agencies and 18 companies related to African diplomats and governments also had their license revoked. That's what you ought to be doing. Take your land back. We ain't playing. That's why that fool in Zimbabwe who gave that land back, gave for what, $41 million? You already have a bankrupt economy, and you give $41 million to people who had already stolen the land? Come on. Now you understand why we talk about reparations. This is real. Speaking of which, an 18-year-old black student was removed from a graduation after he refused to take off his kente cloth. Nairi Holmes attended the diverse but predominantly white Consumnes Oak High School in Elk Grove, California. In a story he shared on Twitter on May 24th, the Merit Scholar says he was able to walk across the stage, but police greeted him on the other end. Are you serious? That's a beautiful piece, and that's real kente cloth too, by the way. Okay? Holmes shared the story after he was escorted out of Sleep Train Arena by 3 Sacramento police officers. He tells Atlanta Black Star it was important for him to wear the traditional African print because as a descendant of slaves, I have no firm connection to my roots in Africa. I wanted to wear the kente cloth as a representation of my pride in my ancestors to display my cultural and religious heritage, as my particular cloth was made by Christians in Ghana, where the kente cloth was worn by royalty and during important ceremonies for hundreds, if not thousands of years. The graduate says his parents were shocked the school had police remove him from the ceremony, adding he was greeted with a mix of positive and negative reactions on Twitter. I have received a lot of support and outrage from fellow minority students as well as white people who see the infringement upon my freedom of expression as appalling and shocking. I have also heard some rumblings within the school of ejection of how I responded on Twitter, especially my tweet that reached over 10,000 people explicitly saying F Consunes Oak High School. Elated tweet. Well, you know, I don't begrudge the young brother for saying that. I would also like to tell them to look upon the horrific experiences of those involved in the civil rights movement in the 60s for inspiration, and fact that we cannot stop seeking equality. If we are forced to wear the European cap and gowns, then we should be able to wear the African kente cloth. Update. The Elks Grove Unified School District issued a news release addressing this issue. During a high school graduation ceremony held at Sleep Train Arena located in Sacramento on May 24th, the Cosumnes Oaks High School student was prohibited from participating in a remainder of the school's graduation ceremony for refusing to follow direction of school officials who were attempting to uphold the established dress code for ignoring repeated requests to remove unauthorized non-school award regalia. It says this: the student was allowed to walk across the stage to be recognized and took a formal picture with the principal wearing the kente cloth. Later, the student was allowed to return to the arena where students received their diplomas. The student was given his diploma. The district's approved graduation uniform is a cap and gown. Blah, 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 blah. In other words, what's wrong with them wearing kente cloth? Nothing. Except you white folks didn't like it. Man, oh man. We've lost our way. We have. We've kind of lost our way, folks. In fact, I'll be honest with you. I don't think we were ever on the path. I think we thought we were on the path. It kind of reminds me of The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, when Sam and Frodo was looking for Mordor. And they just kept going around and around in circles. That's what this kind of reminds me of. This journey of racism in America is, racism is Mordor. Okay? And we're trying to find our way to Mordor to stop racism, but we just keep going round and round in circles. Hey, I'm just saying, man. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. Okay? 855-525-5683 is the number. That's how you get in touch with me. Oh, wow. Little Rock politics, people are just now learning that the mayor has no power. I told y'all that. Y'all remember last summer when we were trying to get the petitions passed to change the election, to change the city government, to get rid of at-large people? Y'all remember that? I remember a young black lady cussing me out because I asked her to sign that petition. How you like it now? 855-525-5683. If you listen to this show, you'll learn a lot. Okay? Now, there are a couple of things I want to tell you what I want to do. I want to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about 14 ways to invest in yourself. Okay? Because I saw this and I shared this because this is very, very important. if you want to be a better person than what you are, but more importantly, if you want to be a better black person, you got to do this. All right. So we're going to go out here and take a quick break. When we return, we'll get into 14 things you can do to better yourself. Right here on joynetradio.com.
Of James F. Swindoll provides our clients the personal care and attention that larger law firms cannot offer. Our experienced attorneys have brought hundreds of cases to verdict in state and federal court and recovered millions for our clients. If you or a loved one have been injured or have property wrongfully damaged, we may be able to help. Do not hesitate to contact our firm anytime for a free attorney consultation. Call 1-800-848-1290. That's 1-800-848-1290. Or email inquiries at arkansas-personal-injury.com. Our law offices are centrally located at 212 Center Street in Little Rock. That's the law offices of James F. Swindoll, personal injury and products liability attorney serving Arkansas since 1977.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas to connect with a family-owned and operated service provider in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Fill your home for the holidays with Bedrock Mattress and More. Bundle and save for every room in your home. Package deals just in time for the holidays. Our first bundle starting at $598. Perfect for a dorm room. Bundle deal 2, only $15.99. Enough to fill your first apartment. And fill your home with our third bundle starting at only $24.99. Come get these deals while they last. Special pricing going on now through the end of the year. Celebrate this holiday season with something new from Bedrock Mattress and More. 3901 South University in Little Rock.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4317 East Broadway in North Little Rock. We still have the green top at your very next stop. The same great service, but more on it. Give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Hey friends, Father's Day is right around the corner, and Coleman's Dynamic Products is offering a dynamic gift just for Dad. Pick 6 for Dad. Any 6 items in my product line. Coleman's Dynamic Rib Rub, Dust, Juice, Nuts, Batter, you name it, all for only $29.95 plus shipping and handling. Upgrade to Pick 10 for only $39.95. Pick 6 for Dad. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special. Dad and you will be glad you did. Each purchase receives a Coleman's Dynamic downloadable cookbook. We want to say Happy Father's Day for all the great fathers out there. And while you enjoy your day, don't forget to bake it, grill it, smoke it, oh yeah, with Coleman's Dynamic product. Pick 6 or pick 10. You must call 615-554-0568 to get this dynamic Father's Day special.
All right, welcome back to the show. Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. I want to make sure that I get to that tomorrow. 98% of African Americans are, in fact, I see. I love it when what I talk about on this show is bared out by others. Listen to this. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. 98% of African Americans are in fact native Indians and are owed millions. What's going to be the black fact of tomorrow? I think you already know that. Also, go out to my wall and look at those beautiful black Indians, from Asia, India. They don't ever show those pretty black women. And man, they are gorgeous. When you see a woman from India, you normally see a woman who is of light complexion. But these sisters are chocolate black and are drop dead gorgeous. By the way, Trump's family trips cost taxpayers nearly as much in a month as Obama's cost in a year. I'm bringing it up because you remember that this president, on his golf trips alone, he's cost the American taxpayers, if I remember correctly, already over $1 million. There's another story I posted about white people are dying faster than they are being born in 17 states. This is by Time Magazine. We've talked about this before. Okay? Just letting you know, go out there, that story's on my wall. Remember, I had the conversation with you, and I have that conversation with you quite often about why is a Donald Trump being allowed to run roughshod over the Constitution? Why is Donald Trump being allowed to embrace Nazis? It's called white supremacy. Y'all don't have to believe me. But those of you who don't believe me, just be prepared to get your tail kicked here coming up. There was a KKK rally in Dayton, Ohio. 9 KKK guys showed up. There were over 50 police officers and others standing by. It cost the city of Dayton $650,000. Okay. Bet y'all won't do that again, huh? Vision Church in Atlanta has added a psychic medium to its ministerial staff. Wait a minute. Did I read that right? Vision Church in Atlanta, this is from ChristianPost.com, has added a psychic. I'm done with y'all. I'm done. Lord have mercy. Oh. And I'm going to archive this article. It says, new data makes it clear non-voters handed Trump the presidency. That's what I've been telling y'all. The fact that you didn't vote is how Donald Trump won. Okay? If 15% more people who didn't vote would have voted, all likelihood that would have been for the Democratic candidate, Donald Trump wouldn't be in office today. See, what you ought to understand here is that the Republican Party is running a campaign to keep you from voting. They understand that they can't win on their word, on their values, on their morals, because they have none. So the key is to keep as many of you all from voting as possible. And the data now is clear, according to the Washington Post. It is clear that because you didn't vote, has nothing to do with Bernie said who you voted for or voting for an independent. Had you voted, those non-voters, Donald Trump wouldn't be in office. So what we ought to be doing more than anything else right now is making sure that our people get to the polls and vote. Yeah, so you don't think they're trying to keep you from voting. In Texas, they were trying to pass a law this session, and I've got to go back and see if it was successful, that if you took people to the polls in a group like in a van, you were violating the law. The key for Republicans to stay in office is for you not to vote. And that's why they're doing such a great job to try to keep you from voting. A couple other things, and we're going to get into those 14 points here in just a moment. 85% of white people that are killed in America each year are murdered by other white people. Yet we never hear the term white on white crime. Black on black crime is a term created specifically for black people to create feelings of fear, self-hate, and disunity among black people. It's a divide and conquer tactic. Those black people that do not critically think never notices what's being done to them. I've told you that before, haven't I? And every time I get into a conversation about with a white guy and he wants to bring up white on black crime, the first thing out of my mouth is, what about white on white crime? Well, that's not as bad. Well, wait a minute. 93% of black people kill black people. 85% of white people kill white people. Those numbers are negligible. So why aren't you concerned about white on white crime? You're certainly concerned about black on black crime, but you're not concerned about white on white crime? Then you're a damn hypocrite. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But then too, that's racism. See how it's baked in? It's in everything, man. Show you how ignorant. See, I told you all over and over again that racism is ignorance. Racism is based on pure ignorance because, and really, let me say that too. Let me say what else. It's based on ignorance and envy. Because it's ignorance because most of the people who are racist don't even understand where they came from. And then it's envy because those who understand where they came from, that being black people, they begin to realize that, hey, we ain't created nothing. You know, I was thinking on the way back from Petty Jean this weekend as we drove back yesterday. And one of the things I like driving because it really gets me into deep thought. There were times when I was really contemplating, I would get in my car and just drive around the interstate. So I was thinking on the way back, I said, well, wait a minute. Why are white people so angry? And then you begin to realize that they didn't really create much of anything. They stole everything. Didn't they? But to show you about that ignorance, check this out. 56% of Americans believe Arabic numerals shouldn't be taught in school. Did y'all get that? Let me read that title to this article again. 56% of Americans believe Arabic numerals shouldn't be taught in schools. Do you know what an Arabic numeral is? So let me just give you the whole numbers that are Arabic numbers. And I want you to imagine in your head what that number looks like. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Those are whole numbers. Or they're not whole numbers, but, I guess they are whole numbers. So did you imagine in your head what they look like? So whatever you imagine those numbers to look like in your head, in all likelihood, you went to school. And yeah, those are Arabic numbers. The Pittsburgh Tribune Review reports that 56% of Americans don't want Arabic numerals, the standard numbers in Western alphabet, to be taught in schools, according to a poll. According to the study, which included over 3,200 Americans, more than half of the respondents said standard number notation should not be taught in school. An additional 29% said they should be part of the curriculum, while 16% offered no opinion. According to Civic Science CEO John Dick, The poll suggests a latent bias, unconscious attitudes, and stereotypes among respondents. Ladies and gentlemen, the saddest and funniest testament to American bigotry we've seen in our data, the executive said on Twitter. So you don't want Arabic numbers. So what number should we teach in school, y'all? Remember I told you about ignorance and envy? Number one, they don't even know that numbers that we write every day, whether you're signing a check or depositing money or withdrawing money or simply counting in school, those are considered Arabic numbers because that was part of their origin. But you don't want those to be taught. Okay. Oh, yeah. One other note, and we're going to get to our other story. Stephanie E. Rogers, an associate professor of history at the University of Cal Berkeley, combed through data from 1850 and 1860 census and revealed that white women made up around 40% of slave owners. The findings helped Jones Rogers compile her book, They Were Her Property, White Women as Slave Owners in the American South. On her department page, Jones Rogers describes the February 2019 release as a regional study that draws upon formerly enslaved people's testimony to dramatically reshape the current understanding of white women's economic relationships with slavery. In her book, Jones Rogers explains that white women's involvement in slavery comes from family, as their slave-owning parents typically gave their daughters more enslaved people than land. What this means is that their very identities as white Southern women are tied to the actual and the possible ownership of other people. Her book also notes that owning enslaved Africans served as white women's primary source of wealth. Plus, owning a large number of enslaved people reportedly made women better marriage material. Once wed, white women were said to have fought and frequently won the right to continue their ownership over enslaved Africans, not handing over ownership to their husbands. For them, slavery was freedom. After Martha Washington married George Washington in Virginia in 1759, George is said to have possibly owned around 18 people, but his wife, one of the richest women in the state, owned 84 and dramatically increased the local slave population. Now, why am I reading that article? Because I told you so. You black feminists running around here championing white feminists, they don't care about you as a black woman. They don't care about your black children being shot down in the street. They don't care about your children going to a school equal to their children because they are the ones that are moving their children out of public schools. So why are you out here championing their rights? 40% of white women owned slaves. In most cases, according to this article, and we're going to be reaching out to this sister to get her on the air, I would wonder what it was like state to state. They don't care about you. They care about their own well-being. Once they get what they want, they're going to poop on you. All right, let's end the show on a positive note. Let's uplift a few people here. So we talk a lot about investing in yourself. One of the things that I did, and there are a couple of things that, in fact, all of these things on this list I've done before. Some of the things I'm not that good at that I'm planning to get better at. But if you want to take care of yourself, if you want to grow as an individual, I'm going to give you 14 steps that you can use to grow as an individual. And this was posted by Dr. Boyce Watkins. Now, whether you like Dr. Boyce Watkins, see, here's the thing. What we've got to do is get out of, because we don't like someone, doesn't mean you can't learn from that person. Okay? I learn a lot from white people. You can take that whatever you want. I do. I learn a lot from white people. Hello? Here's number one. And I said that because I hear I don't like Dr. Boyce Watkins. Why is it you don't like him? Because he said something that you don't like? He said something that you know is true, but it offended you because it spoke to your soul and your consciousness? See, I think black people think other black people who are on the radio, who are in positions of authority, who can speak truth to power, I think that they ought to be perfect. Black people think they ought to be perfect. Hell, I'm not perfect. So if you're sitting out there listening to this show and you mad at me thinking because I think I'm perfect, because I think I know everything, then you're crazy. Look, most of the stuff, in fact, the majority of the stuff that I know is passed on to me. I've read it. I've researched it. And I'm just spilling it back to you. I'm learning every day. You ought to be doing the same. You ought to be uplifting brothers and sisters who are on that journey for change instead of hating on them. So here are 14 ways you can invest in yourself. And that's why I'm sharing this, because I want you to be where I am. Well, I want you to get on this journey with me, because the only way that we're going to save our community, the only way that we're going to save our children, our schools, our families, is that we're going to have to start investing in ourselves. And see, once we learn to invest in ourselves, then it will automatically make us invest in our communities, our businesses, our children. So here's number one: learn to manage your time. You got to sometimes, if nothing else, get you a pencil and paper. And nowadays, you've probably got a time manager on your phone or your computer. I'm a writer, so they always tell you to write at the same time every day. Okay? So you put, what are you going to do with your time? You should be segmenting it off every day. That don't mean that you're going to follow it to the letter, but it kind of gives you order. Manage your time. Time waits for no man. Time in some cases is more important than money. Because if you spend your time wisely, then you can make some money, because you'll start figuring out how to make money while you're spending that time. Number 2, travel. Man, I just came back from a great weekend. And the weird thing about it, I had no internet access whatsoever. In fact, I had no phone access. So if you were calling me over the weekend, these last 3 days, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I got nothing. And even when we went to the lodge where they said they had internet access, it was intermittent at best. So it got to the point, I'm like this, if my internet access isn't good, I'm not going to even try. But I traveled. And why is that important? Because see, when you travel, when you see how other people are doing it, it expands your horizon. It makes you look at life differently. It always fascinates me how people can grow up in the same city and never go anywhere. That's why you're still in that same old rut. I was fortunate. At an early age, my mom was sending me summer everywhere. At 13 years old, I got to go to Philmont Scout Ranch in Cimarron, New Mexico. I got to go to North Carolina and camp in the mountains. I got to go to Colorado a couple of times to camp in the mountains. I was barely 14, 15 years old. But you know what that did for me? It allowed me to meet other people. It allowed me to converse with other people. It allowed me to see how other people lived, how other communities were, how beautiful nature was, to respect nature. So travel. See the world. Don't hesitate. In fact, I'm going on another trip in a couple of weeks. I'll let you know where it's going. It's to the point now I'm looking at the calendar. It's kind of like when I went to Hawaii during the holidays. You know, my son was there. I had never been to Hawaii in my life. I said, look, this may be the only opportunity that I get to go to Hawaii. I'm going to take it. Had a blast. Learned a lot, had a blast. So travel, folks. Stop, look, that job's going to be there when you get back. And if you've been working on that job that long and you haven't taken some time, look, if you're my age, if you're not taking some time at this point to smell the roses, to stop and smell the roses, then you're a damn fool. You've got more life behind you than you have ahead of you. So you ought to be, every chance I get from this point on, I'm going to stop and smell the roses. In fact, I'm going to not only stop and smell the roses, I'm going to gather up some and give some roses out. I'm telling you, man. I am so renewed from this weekend. It's funny I'm talking about this because just this weekend, that trip to Petit Jean Mountain, staying in those mountains, hiking through the woods. No, we weren't going to the malls. No, there was not any great places to eat. We just got back to nature, and we had a fantastic time. Number 3 is choose your friends wisely. I would agree. Everybody ain't your friend. Yeah, I did say that. Ain't your. Everybody ain't your friend. Those people, in fact, those people who are screaming and hollering about they're your friend, those are the ones that can do you more dirt than anybody. So you need to choose your friends wisely. And there are certain things friends don't do to each other. That means sleep with their spouses or their girlfriends. Okay? Or stab one another in the back. They say men will only make 2 true friends their entire lifetime. It's hard to make a friend when you're my age. You know what? All of my friends that I have, in fact, this weekend, the people that went with me on this camera trip, I've known them for years, decades. When I went last year, the people that went on that camper trip, we've known each other since elementary school. We're true friends. I'll give my life for them. And I have no doubt they'll give theirs for me. That's what a real friendship is. Just because you have something in common, just because you might look alike, just because you might have the same complexion, you might be in the same fraternity or sorority, that doesn't mean you're friends. Number 4, take a course and learn new skills. Amen to that. If you're not learning, you're dying. I'm telling you, folks, I've been saying that for a while now on this show. If you're not learning, you're dying. Part of that is I'm reading all the time. Guess what I'm thinking about doing? Yeah, I'm thinking about going back to school. I've been encouraged. I agree with their synopsis. You know, when I broke my neck, I left school with the plans of going back. So I'm thinking about going back and getting my degree. I want to learn something new. I want to learn something that I thought I knew that I didn't know. Always expanding your mind. And you don't have to go back to school to take a course. You can do that on Facebook, on YouTube. I tell people all the time, I learned how to use Photoshop by YouTube. I learned how to tie a slip bobber on YouTube. Number 5 is read books. Read as many books as you can. The best way to learn is to read. That old saying, the best way to hide something from black people is to put it in a book. They're right. It fascinates to me as I do black facts and I see other black facts on Facebook and people are posting, I didn't know that. Remember I talked about the MOVE bombing last week? There were people who said, I never knew that happened. Read books. And I should say newspapers. Number 6 is take care of your body. Have you ever seen somebody on dialysis? Have you ever seen somebody with diabetes or high blood pressure and how much they suffer? If your family is predisposed to some of those ailments, then you ought to be taking care of your body. You shouldn't just simply throw your hands up and say, hey, okay. I'm 58 years old, and I was hiking through the woods. Now, I'm just telling you this. This was not some flat trail. We were hiking up mountains, well, up the side of hills, down the side of hills, around hills, climbing over rocks. I posted a picture a few minutes ago of Cedar Falls at Pinnacle, at Petit Jean. Do you know what we had to do to get there? It was a mile through rugged country to get there. And then that was the easy part because we were kind of going down. The tough part was on the way back. In fact, everywhere we went, we had to walk to see some of these natural monuments. And boy, my legs were killing me. I'm the guy who on Friday was worried about I had cancer. But I powered through it. And you know what? Part of that was because I'm in decent shape. I'm going to seek to get better shape here over the next few months. But take care of your body. Start a side business is number 7. Why is that important? I'm going to tell you like I told the sister about a week or so ago. She's making this money on the side. I asked her, I said, what's your tax rate? Well, I know what her tax rate is. She's paying anywhere from 33 to 37%. Now, she has some kids, but she's probably getting some earned income credits, things of that nature. But she's still, her rate is 33 to 37%. You start a business, you're paying anywhere from 18 to 24%, and you can put your child on the payroll and save even more money. So when you go out and they sell stuff, or instead of giving them an allowance, that's a salary. Hello? And you're paying 18 to 24%. So if you don't have a business, you ought to be looking for a business. If you're one of those people out there who are great with your hands and you make things and your girlfriends and guys are buying stuff from you, you ought to have a business. Number 8 is expand your network. You cannot learn anything sitting in your house. Now, when I say expand your network, I don't mean go out and try to make everybody your friend. That's not what I'm saying. Participate in other activities where you can learn, where you can meet people who can give you information on the business that you're doing. Or maybe they can tell you where to go to sell your product or to get a loan. Everybody in your network shouldn't be your friend. They can be your business associate, and you may, if you're lucky, find a friend, but you're not expanding your network for a friendship. You're expanding your network for personal development and business development. That's number 8. Get out of debt. We in the black community think debt is funny. We think bad credit is funny. Get your butt out of debt and you can really do some things. Then when you want to go to Hawaii, you can say, I'm going to Hawaii. See ya. I have very little debt. I'm proud of that. I started working on that probably in college. You know, part of the reason that I left college, I broke my neck, yeah. And then I lost a little aid that they were giving me because I broke my neck. I lost scholarship. So there were people who said, well, you know, Dave, you can get a loan, go and finish. You can get a loan, you can get a loan. So no, I'm not getting a loan. I'm not getting in debt. So I left. And since then, I've been wary. You know what? I never had a credit card. Never. I've never had a credit card. I was a big layaway person, or I operated on the philosophy of Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey, if you can't afford it, then you shouldn't buy it. If you can't pay cash for it, don't buy it. That'll keep you out of debt. So I will put it in a layaway, or I will pay cash for it. And I'm still that way today. So get out of debt. Number 10 is save money. See, because if you get out of debt, then you can save money. You ought to have a 3 to 6 month emergency fund. 3 to 6 months. What happens right now if you get sick? What happens let's say it's not a bad illness, but let's say you're down for a month and you can't go to work. Well, if you're fortunate, your job gives you some sick leave pay. But many of them don't today. What happens if you lose your job? Do you have 3 to 6 months rent saved up? Because typically after 3 to 6 months, you ought to be able to find another job. Save your money. Number 11 is invest your money. Now, black people don't invest. And I'm going to be honest with you. My goal over the next year or so is to become more investment savvy. This is one thing that I haven't done enough of, but I'm going to start doing that. In fact, I'm thinking about starting an investment club, and we can all learn together. But invest your money, because these are little nest eggs that you can make or you can have later on in life. And teach your children to invest too. Talk to them about the stock market. In fact, you may not know anything about the stock market. Put the task on your children to learn the stock market so they can teach you. Invest your money. And invest your money not only in the stock market, but invest it in your community. That means, you can invest by simply shopping at a black business, by donating money to a black cause. Sometimes investments, the dividends are not monetary. Number 12 is set goals. I meet so many people my age who have decided that, hey, I've lived my life, I'm done. Oh, I got this bad foot. I got this bad ankle. I can't do it. Look, I just told you, up until Friday, many of you all have responded to that post. I posted Friday morning, it's not cancer. Because up until Friday, I was thinking that I had cancer on my leg. That's why I was having so many problems with that. Thank the Lord that I don't. But you know what? My goal was to go on that trip. And the only way that I wasn't going to go on that trip to Petit Jean was that they were going to put me in the hospital. And I knew going to Petit Jean that I was going to have to walk trails. I knew that I was going to walk around on a bad foot. So I came prepared. I took both of my braces, my knee and my ankle brace. And man, when we got to Petit Jean, we set out. My goal was to make it to Cedar Falls and back. And I did. I was setting goals beyond the fact that they were telling me that they had intimated that I may have cancer. And I even said that, okay, this might be my last trip, but my goal is to go to Petit Jean and walk those trails. And I did. That's number 12. Number 13 is find a mentor. Find someone who will uplift you. Find someone who will push you forward. Find someone whom you can talk to and get credible information about moving forward on the task that you are pursuing. You just heard mine last Thursday on the show, Dr. Rosie Milligan. I've got others, but she's one of my main ones. I'm not here today without mentors. When I was young, I had male mentors because I grew up without a father. So Clifton Towns, Ben Madry, Samuel Hudson. Those names may not mean anything to you, but they mean the world to me because I looked at those men, Mr. Talley at my church, Mr. Faison. I looked at those men as how to be men. Those were my mentors growing up. And as I became an adult, I looked to others who mentored me, who gave me life, who breathed life into my dreams. Find your mentor. You don't need a lot of them, you just need one. And that person ought to be willing to sit down and talk to you. They don't have to be famous. You can certainly you can look to famous people, but there are mentors right there in your town, right there in your city, right there in your church, in your community center that you can go to and say, hey, look, do you mind taking me under your wing and showing me how? See, problem with us in the black community is that we don't want to ask how. And then we don't want to be patient enough to learn it. We want it now. That's part of the problem. And last but not least, we need to stop procrastinating. That old saying, don't put off to tomorrow what you can do today. We all are subject to that. I'm gonna be honest. I've got to write this piece for this book that's gonna go in Third World Press. One of the biggest honors I've had in my life, and I haven't started, but I'll finish it. I'm actually starting today. But for the last 2 weeks, I've been procrastinating. Not really. I've just been busy, but I call it procrastinating because I can carve out some time, just like I'm doing this week, to get this done. Procrastination kills us all. I'm gonna do it tomorrow. It kills us all, brothers and sisters. Stop procrastinating. So those are 14 ways to invest in yourself. Because if you do any of these, let alone all 14, I guarantee you, if you start today, and you ought to be able to do all 14 of these items in a year's time, I would love to see where you are next year. Look at it like a diet. You say, I want to lose 20 pounds. You got to start today working on that weight loss. It's not gonna, if you start today, tomorrow it's not gonna be gone, is it? You gotta keep going until it's gone. So if you start today to manage your time, to travel a little bit more, be wary of your friends and choose them wisely, take a course and learn new skills, read a few extra books, take care of your body, start a side business, expand your network, get out of debt, save your money, invest your money, set some goals, find a mentor, and stop procrastinating. Within a year's time, you'd be a different person. It's just that easy. You say, Dave, that's not easy. Yeah, it's just that easy. It really is. All you have to do is decide to do it. We make time for things that we want. Just like when you want that new car, you go and work double and triple shifts to get that new car, right? When you want that new purse or those red bottoms or that PlayStation 4 or whatever the case may be, you make time for it. So now, when are you going to start making time for yourself? Because if you improve yourself, think about how your surroundings will get even better. 855-525-5683 is the number. Tomorrow we're gonna look into Tom Cotton. Okay? Let me make sure that I repost this to the top of my wall. Because I told you Tom Cotton is not even concerned about Arkansans. 76% of his money comes from out of the state. Hello? Do you understand? 76% of his money comes from outside of the state. All right? So I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm relaxed, I'm refreshed, I'm renewed. Do yourself a favor. Take a vacation. In fact, take 2 or 3 of them. Don't work yourself like a dog. I did that the majority of my life. At one point, I was working 4 jobs. I had kids. I was working 5 jobs. Let me see. So I was working at WHBQ. I was doing morning drive for them and overnights, just depending on when they needed me. I was getting in 40 hours a week either way. Then I was working at Captain Bilbo's. Then there were days that I did the kitchen manager at JP Seafields. I was driving down to Holly Springs, Mississippi and doing radio on Sundays, quartets. And then I was doing jazz every Friday at WSMS in Memphis. 5 jobs. In fact, there was a period in my life where I always had 2 jobs. Always. Even prior to me leaving Nashville, I did radio from 6 a.m. to 9, and then I'd leave there and go to Dell, and I'd work from 10 to 7 at Dell Computers. And then I'd do little stuff on the side, like stringing for other radio stations. So, brothers and sisters, if I could give you some advice, I'm telling you from experience, take some time and smell the roses. Don't work yourself to a nub. Because at the end of the day, when you die, you will be replaced. Don't be on your dying bed saying, I wish I would have. I refuse to do that. Okay? All right, I got to get out of here. Just remember that brilliant minds discuss ideas and average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people. Which do you possess?
You've been listening to Black Focus, where we discuss our issues with our solutions and our voices. Join us every weekday afternoon at 1 p.m. on JoinetRadio.com.